Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining. Hope you can see my screen. Thanks for joining. I'm Rosario Neuman, Solution Consultant at SVA Software. Thanks for joining today. I'm excited to show you how our solution, IDR Manager, which is an interactive solution to help you create an ITDR planning runbook that can help you and your team be disaster ready. So if you're in the process of or starting a project where you need to create, organize all of those IT disaster recovery procedures and steps so that everybody on your team can be on the same page when there's an outage or it's time to recover, then in this demo, I will show you that with our single source solution and guiding structure, you can organize and easily create all of those dependencies between all of the IT infrastructure components so that you can end up with an ITDR runbook in hours and not weeks or months. So let's go to the demo. Hopefully you can see my screen. Good. All right, this is our IDR Manager solution where we have organized all of the IT infrastructure services, all of the documentation, roles, and personnel in this single source. So this is organized at high level. So the first row will show you all of the business processes of your organization. For example, commercial, we have different areas for commercial, federal, and state customers. Then we have all of those IT services that run those areas and those processes, as well as the applications that help run those IT services. In this middle area, we can see that we have all of the infrastructure and titled or labeled or categorized based on the location. So if it's an on-prem infrastructure, it can be a server, storage, etc. And if it's run in the cloud or it's in a remote data center. Okay, and in this bottom area, we have all of the task items, all of that documentation that can help your team with all of those procedures that need to be executed in the sequence to be able to bring a service up or go through a whole disaster recovery, as well as the roles and all the personnel with information such as their email address, phone number, etc. So let me show you how you would walk through this when there's an outage or a disaster of an IT service or full disaster recovery. So you can isolate this quickly. For example, if an IT service, let's say all of the cybersecurity area or the commercial needs to go through a disaster recovery check. So it automatically isolates all of those applications that run the cybersecurity, the infrastructure as well. And in this case, we have an infrastructure and on-prem data center in the cloud or in the remote data center. And it will isolate and give you access to all of those recovery steps. In this case, the documentation that is available. So in this case, there's a PDF format documentation for the procedures to bring up AD, which is part of the recovery or check of a cybersecurity outage. Now, the role, the personnel, the person in charge of this service. So you can see how easily a person who is part of your team or a new member can go through this and have all that information ready. This is easy to create. So now I'm going to show you how to create it. You would you can start from any area. Let's see, this is a test app. Any description, the recovery order of the application in relation to the others, the RTO and the RPO for this application. And then you can link it to all of the areas, either higher up or down. In this case, an IT service will be higher up. And then the infrastructure would be linked in the lower part as a on-prem or cloud or any infrastructure for example, a server or a storage device or router. And you can easily link it to any of these areas, and you can go in each area and do the same thing. So in this, that's how easy it is to create and update the information. If you are thinking about or have already some documentation already in place, either using a manual process, for example, a Word document or Excel, we do import using, for example, a CSV file or even an XML file format that you can import that you already have set up, and it will be loaded into the fields belonging to all of these areas. The second part that I want to show you is this structure view or visualization of all of the IT services. So these will be all of the IT services that are part of this organization, with all of the applications that belong to a specific IT service. So in this case, we have Technology Infrastructure Core with all of the applications, for example, network, Active Directory, etc., that are part of this. And they're listed from left to right as the order of recovery for a full disaster recovery. So if you go into a full disaster recovery, this would be the first area, Technology Infrastructure Core, and then Technology Infrastructure Secondary, and Cybersecurity, Security Cloud, etc. Why is this in red? I'll show you in a second why this is labeled right now in red. Then this third area I want to show you is let's see if I can bring it up here, cybersecurity. So this would be a map that shows you, gives you a quick view of all of the dependencies for a specific business process. So in my organization, I have cyber risk security as a business process with the services that are involved, Technology Infrastructure Core, Secondary, and the cybersecurity. Underneath are all of the applications belonging to those three services that are part of a cyber risk security business process. This gives you a quick view of how all of the areas are linked together. And then the most interesting, I would say, it would be a dashboard, right? This is a dashboard that can help you and your team go through either a test scenario or a real disaster recovery procedure, where you can select and create based on a service that is already included. So I'm going to label this dashboard as Test IT, and I'm going to create it based on the cybersecurity. And I'm going to say this is a real disaster case. So I would bring it up, and this is the one that I just created. And as you can see, it's labeled already as an active disaster case. It has the two areas that are part of the cybersecurity service and all the applications that are part of this. So for example, encryption, Active Directory, cybersecurity policies. I can click on each one, and the admin would go through each one. They're already in sequence of recovery, and access the documentation or steps that you need to go through to recover. For example, for Active Directory, I already have also this documentation and all the steps necessary to go through a disaster recovery procedure, and the role and responsibility in the contact person with phone number, email, etc. So then once the admin would go through this process and go through all of the process of recovering or checking out what's wrong with that application, then they can do a in progress or done. So then you can easily see that which application has been checked and gone through the disaster recovery process. This is again a manual process that helps you as a DR manager see what the progress is of bringing up these applications as part of the cybersecurity service. And let me also show you can add comments here about steps that need to be added or that didn't work, or any comments necessary for the future. Then the other area that I wanted to show you is there is an audit log that is kept every time there's a change. It actually gives you the information of which user did the update and when. So this is great for keeping track of any audit compliance or audit requirement. And let me go back here. Oh, to mention, there's a tenancy. So if you're worried about security, you can create different tenants, which isolates the areas. So if you have a department that needs to be isolated and secured from other departments, you can create different tenants. Let me go back here. Then I want to mention, last but not least, reports. So you can create access reports based on what is needed. So I'm going to select a few IT services, and I will download that information, and it will automatically create a PDF report that shows all of the IT services that I selected, when it was last updated, and also the applications that are part of that. So eBill Pay is an application belonging to the Enterprise Data Platform service, and it gives us information about the infrastructure details. For example, if a server has a network address or any capacity, and so on for every single IT service that I requested to report on. And I want to finish with iterating our solution as a summary, that our solution can help you meet SLAs and also can help you with fulfilling that compliance for any audits related to disaster recovery. And it's a single data source solution with all of the visibility needed to see the dependencies between the components. And it gives you that guiding structure to help you create it easily and organize, and as well as update it. And it has the features of reporting and audit compliance. So any questions?
Rosario, we do have a few questions. The first one is, does the solution run on premise or on the cloud?
Okay, the solution can be run on-premise as well as in the cloud. We currently have set up our solution to run in the cloud using Azure.
Then Lisa asks, does IDR follow any business continuity management framework?
Yes, so let me show you that part. I believe I have it here. Yes, so we do follow the standard ISO 22301, which is an international standard based on the BCM framework.
Perfect. And then last question from John. I believe we've touched on this a little bit. How can we import data? Do you allow XML files?
Yes, I actually have a slide here about that. So yes, you can import, let me just show you a little bit, CSV, Excel files, or any CMDB type file. We have a customer who uses Flexera, and they've requested us to help them with extracting the data from that, so that also can be imported into IDR. Let's see, PDF, like I showed you, and any asset management tools or operator manuals can also be uploaded into IDR.
And then one more question from Brian. He asks, what do you feel distinguishes this tool from other top tools in the market?
Okay, this solution is, like I mentioned, a single source, isolated solution. It fits right into ITDR planning to create your runbook and have a DR runbook ready in hours, not just weeks or months. And it's not a BCDR solution. It's a single standard solution for creating your ITDR runbook. There are other products that can be a little bit complicated to learn. There's a huge learning curve. However, as I showed you, this is a solution that is easy to follow. Therefore, you can easily start creating and organizing all of those ITDR recovery steps. Any other questions?
I think that's all.
All right, so let's see. Well, thank you for your time. And remember, you can obtain more information from our site, svasoftware.com/IDR. And have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining.